Clean it up. Mr. Sterling, the candidates are ready if you'd like to. Do you know what that mug cost, Gerald? Neither do I. That's the point. Each has been thoroughly vetted.
I'll be the judge of that.
You were 40 minutes late.
There was traffic on the...
Traffic is an excuse. Next.
Mr. Sterling?
Find a 15th, Gerald.
Your shoes are dirty. I need them cleaned.
I walked from the...
Attention to detail. Next.
Is something wrong?
Your perfume. My mother is allergic.
Next.
The appointment was at 9.
It is 9. I'm expected.
Clear the room, Gerald.
Sir? I said clear the room.
The glass shattered before anyone could stop it. Adrian Sterling's coffee mug hit the marble floor of the grand entrance hall and exploded into a dozen pieces, and every maid standing in that perfectly straight line flinched, every maid except one. 5 women stood before him that Tuesday morning, each recruited by his father's personal assistant, each dressed in the crisp black and white uniform of the Sterling household, each holding their hands in front of them the way people do when they are trying very hard not to look afraid. Adrian walked the line slowly, hands in the pockets of his charcoal trousers, jaw tight, eyes moving over each woman with the same cold efficiency he brought to quarterly earnings reviews. He stopped at the first one. "You were 40 minutes late to your last placement," he said. Not a question. The woman opened her mouth. He had already moved on. He stopped at the second. "I called your reference." She hesitated before she spoke. "I don't hire people who make references hesitate." Third, "Your shoes are dirty. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of my home." Fourth, "Too much perfume. My mother is allergic." Next, he reached the end of the line and turned to face his father's assistant, a nervous man named Gerald who was already loosening his collar. "None of them," Adrian said flatly. "Mr. Sterling, with respect, this is the 14th candidate in 6 weeks. Then find a 15th. Your father specifically asked." "My father," Adrian said, his voice dropping to something quieter and therefore more dangerous, "is in Geneva until Thursday. When he returns, I will explain to him personally why standards are not negotiable. Until then, we are done here." He turned and walked back toward his study, glass crunching under his shoe. That was when the front door opened. She did not knock. She did not ring the bell a second time. She simply opened the door and walked in the way people walk into places they have already decided belong to them, a small roller bag behind her, natural hair pinned back, dark skin catching the morning light from the skylight above the entrance hall. She looked at the broken mug on the floor. She looked at the 4 women still standing in line, 2 of them already reaching for their handbags. She looked at Gerald, who was visibly sweating. Then she looked at Adrian, who had stopped walking. "I'm Amara," she said. "I believe I'm expected." Gerald checked his clipboard with frantic energy. The appointment was at 9. "It is 9, she said simply. "I came in through the front because the side entrance was blocked by a delivery truck. I apologize if that was incorrect. I'll know for next time." Adrian stared at her. In 14 candidates over 6 weeks, not one of them had said "I'll know for next time," a phrase that assumed, with complete calm confidence, that there would be a next time. Before he had said a single word. Before he had approved anything. He should have dismissed her on the spot. Instead, he heard himself say, "Gerald, clear the room." Gerald cleared the room. Adrian walked back toward her slowly, studying her the way he studied contracts, looking for the clause that would cause problems later. She stood still under his gaze without shifting her weight, without smiling nervously, without doing any of the things people did when Adrian Sterling looked at them for too long. "You're not from here," he said. "No," she said. "Does that matter?" "It matters if it affects your work." "Then it doesn't matter." He almost smiled. He caught it before it arrived. "Why do you want this position?" "Because I'm qualified for it," she said. "And because I keep my word. If that's what you're actually asking." He looked at her for a long moment. "You start Thursday," he said. 6 a.m. "Don't be late." He walked away. She watched him go. Behind her, Gerald exhaled like a man who had been held underwater. The Sterling mansion had 12 rooms, 4 floors, a library nobody used, and a kitchen that was better equipped than most restaurants in Manhattan. Amara learned its rhythms in 3 days. She paid attention to everything. She had been taught to. Back home, in the palace where she grew up, though she told no one here that there had been a palace, her grandmother used to say that a woman who observes everything and reveals nothing holds more power than any man in the room. Here she was Amara the maid. Efficient, quiet, thorough. She stayed invisible in the way that people with very old, very quiet power know how to be, not because they are small, but because they are choosing. Adrian watched her the way he watched everything he could not immediately categorize. On her 4th day, he walked into the kitchen at 11 p.m. and found her at the counter, not cleaning, not working, reading. A thick hardback, open flat, her finger running along the bottom of the page. "What is that?" he asked. She looked up without startling. "International Business Law," she said. 3rd edition. He crossed his arms. Maids don't usually read international business law. People are usually more than their job title, she said, and returned to her page. He stood in his own kitchen for a moment, suddenly uncertain what he had come in for. He opened the refrigerator, stared into it, closed it, walked back out. In the hallway he stopped, leaned against the wall, and looked up at the ceiling. Who is she? If you're already hooked on Amara and Adrian's story, smash that like button right now and subscribe so you never miss what happens next. Batch 2 is coming and everything changes. 3 weeks into the job and Adrian Sterling had broken every rule he had ever set for himself about staff. Amara had not broken his rules. She had simply made them feel irrelevant, the way a storm makes an umbrella feel irrelevant. It started with a note. He had been up until 3 a.m. on a Thursday, buried in spreadsheets for a hostile takeover bid that was threatening to unravel 6 months of careful strategy. The boardroom pressure was immense. 3 senior directors pushing back, 2 investors threatening to pull out, the whole architecture of a deal he had spent a year building creaking under the weight of doubt. When he came downstairs at 4 a.m. for water, there was a fresh pot of coffee on the counter. Still hot. And beside it, folded once, a small piece of notepaper. He unfolded it. The lion does not lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. But even lions rest. An African proverb. The coffee is Ethiopian. It helps. No signature. He did not need one. He stood at that counter and drank the coffee and read the note 3 more times. Then he folded it and put it in the pocket of his robe and told himself it was nothing. He kept the note for 9 days before he admitted to himself that he was keeping it. "I need to know everything about her," he told his head of security, Marcus, on a Monday morning. Marcus laid a thin folder on Adrian's desk within 24 hours, which was almost nothing. Her name is Amara Osei, 27 years old. Work visa in order. References checked, all legitimate. Prior domestic placements in London and Dubai. Both employers gave glowing references, neither would say more than that. Social media? None. Not even a private account. Bank records? Clean. Small, consistent deposits. Nothing unusual. Adrian leaned back. No one has no digital footprint. Not in 2024. "I know," Marcus said. Which is either perfectly innocent or perfectly deliberate. Adrian tapped his finger on the folder. "Keep looking." It was a Saturday when the wall between them cracked open for the first time. Adrian came home early from a board meeting that had ended badly. He came through the back entrance, loosening his tie, the particular fury of a man who controls everything except the one thing that matters sitting hot in his chest. Amara was in the east garden trimming the hedges with precise, unhurried movements, earphones in, unaware he was there. He sat on the stone steps and watched her work. He could not explain why. He did not try. After a few minutes she turned, saw him, and removed one earphone. "You're home early," she said. Not startled. Not flustered. "Bad meeting," he said. She studied him for a moment. Then she set down her shears, walked to the garden bench, and sat. "Tell me," she said. "Excuse me. Tell me what happened." Sometimes the problem becomes smaller when it leaves your head. "You're my maid," he said, but it came out without conviction, the way you say something you no longer fully believe. "Right now I'm just a person sitting in a garden," she said. "Talk." He did not know why he sat down. He did not know why he talked. But he sat, and he talked, and she listened with genuine attention, pushing back gently when his logic was driven by ego rather than strategy. You're not angry about the investor, she said when he finished. You're angry because you trusted him, and he made you feel naive for it. I'm not naive, he said. No, she agreed. Which is exactly why it hurt. They sat in the garden for 40 minutes. The sun moved. Neither of them tracked it. For what it's worth, she said quietly as she stood, the people who are worth trusting are never the ones who make trust feel easy. She went inside. He sat in the garden until the sun was gone, turning that sentence over in his hands like something he had found and did not yet know the name of. That night he called his assistant and said 3 words, cancel my weekend. Stop. If you didn't see that coming, neither did Adrian. Subscribe right now and drop a comment below. Do you think Amara has feelings for him too? Batch 3 is where the secret starts spilling. Don't you dare click away. The phone call happened on a Wednesday night and Adrian heard every word. He had not been eavesdropping. He was walking to the library at the end of the east corridor when he heard her voice coming through the slightly open door of the staff sitting room, and something in the tone of it stopped him cold. It was not the voice she used in the house. It was lower, more authoritative. The voice of someone accustomed to being obeyed. I told you to hold the announcement, she said, switching between English and what sounded like French and something else, something richer. I'm not ready. Not yet. Tell him I need 3 more weeks. I don't care what the council says. I will return when I decide to return, not when they summon me. Do you understand the difference? Another pause. Then, quieter, I know what I'm doing. Trust me. She hung up. Adrian stepped back before she opened the door. He walked silently to the library, sat down, and stared at the wall of books without seeing a single title. Tell him I need 3 more weeks. I will return when I decide to return. The council. Who talked about a council? His mind ran through the possibilities quickly, systematically, the way it ran through risk assessments. None of them were ordinary. You heard me, she said. They were in the kitchen on a Thursday evening, her washing a single teacup, him pouring water from the filter, and it simply came out. Wednesday night, he said. The east corridor. I wasn't listening intentionally. She set the teacup down. She did not look panicked. She looked calculating. The way you look when you are deciding not how to lie but how much of the truth to release. What did you hear? She asked. Enough to know that whoever you are, he said, you are not only a maid. The silence between them stretched and filled with things neither of them was saying. Then she turned to face him fully, and for just a moment the careful composure she wore like a second skin shifted, and he saw something underneath it. Not fear. The look of someone who had been carrying a very heavy thing alone for a very long time and was almost tired of the weight. I am doing my job, she said. Well, I might add. That's not what I asked. You didn't ask anything, she said. You made a statement. He leaned against the counter and looked at her steadily. Who are you, Amara? Someone who needed to be somewhere nobody knew her name, she said quietly. And before he could respond, she picked up her teacup and walked out of the kitchen. His girlfriend Claire arrived the following Friday, like a weather system. She was beautiful and sharp and had been with Adrian for 8 months. He respected her. He was not sure if that was the same as loving her. She noticed Amara on the first day. She's new, Claire said, watching Amara cross the upper landing with fresh towels, her posture unbothered, her walk unhurried. She doesn't walk like a maid. Adrian said nothing. Claire set down her wine glass with a precise click. She's very pretty. I hadn't noticed, he said, which was the most dishonest sentence he had spoken in months. The confrontation happened on Saturday morning. When I asked for my coffee a specific way, Claire was saying, I expect it to be done correctly. Not at all. Amara's voice came back, calm, even unbothered as still water. I'll have it remade immediately. Adrian was in the hallway before he had decided to move. Claire. His voice was quiet. A word. In the privacy of his study, he said, Don't speak to my staff that way. Claire stared at him. She made my coffee wrong. Then she remakes it. She does not need a lecture. I watched you perform in front of her, he said. That's not who I want in my house. Claire's eyes narrowed. It's fascinating how much you care about this particular member of your staff. He held her gaze. I care about how people are treated in my home. That's not new. But they both knew something had shifted. Claire knew it first. This story is about to explode, and I need you here for it. Subscribe if you haven't. Drop a comment, do you trust Amara? Batch 4 is the moment everything comes out. Don't go anywhere. The black SUVs arrived on a Tuesday morning without warning. 4 of them, diplomatic plates, moving in the synchronized silence of a motorcade. They pulled through the Sterling gates and lined up on the driveway with the practiced precision of people who had done this many times before, in many countries, for one specific person. Adrian was in his study when Gerald knocked, white-faced, and said simply, "Sir, you need to come downstairs." 8 men stood in the entrance hall. They wore traditional attire, rich fabric, deep colors, gold threading, and they stood with the absolute stillness of men trained to represent something larger than themselves. Richard Sterling, back from Geneva 2 days early, stood at the bottom of the staircase looking like a man who had opened a door expecting a closet and found an ocean. "Who are you?" Richard asked. The older man inclined his head. "I am Chief Emeka Osei, head of the Royal Council of the Adabia Kingdom. We have come for Her Royal Highness Princess Adiz Osei. We understand she is in your employ." The silence in the entrance hall was absolute. Then heels on the upper staircase. Amara came down slowly, still in her uniform, black and white, pressed as always, not a thing out of place. She descended the stairs the way she did everything, without hurry, without performance. But something was different. Some layer that she had been wearing, the careful smallness, the professional invisibility, was simply gone. Every man in the delegation dropped to one knee. Chief Osei bowed his head. "Your Highness, your people are waiting." The room was a painting. Nobody breathed. Amara. She looked at him, and in her eyes was something he recognized in the garden, in the kitchen, in every conversation where she had been simultaneously present and guarded. "I can explain," she said. "You're a princess," he said. Flat. Factual. Like a man rereading a contract he misunderstood. "Yes. This entire time. Yes. In my house." "As my," he stopped. "As your maid," she said quietly. "Yes." "Why?" he said. Just that. One word. She took 3 steps toward him, close enough that this was now a conversation between 2 people and not a scene for an audience. "Because I am the eldest daughter of a kingdom, and every person I have ever met has known that before they knew anything else. Every room I have ever walked into, they were already bowing before I arrived. I needed to know what it felt like to be seen before I was known. To have someone speak to me as though I was just a person." Her eyes held his. "You gave me that. Even if you didn't mean to. And the performance ends now," he said. "You go back. You take your crown and your council and your motorcade. Adrian. And I am supposed to do what?" His voice cracked slightly at the edge. "Not much. Enough. I am supposed to go back to not knowing you?" The room held its breath. "I didn't plan for this," she said, and for the first time her composure showed its fault lines. "I didn't plan for the garden. Or the kitchen. Or any of it." "Neither did I," he said. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she turned to Chief Osei. "Give us an hour," she said, in a tone that was not a request. The chief nodded and led the delegation outside without a word. "I don't care about the crown," Adrian said. "I care about the woman who told me people are more than their job title. Who left me coffee at 4 in the morning. Who sat in my garden and told me the truth about myself when no one else would. Titles complicate everything." "Then take it off," he said simply. "Right now, in this room, you're just Amara. And I am asking Amara, not a princess, not a royal, not anyone's daughter, if she will stay." She looked at him for a long time. Outside, the engines of 4 diplomatic SUVs idled in the morning silence. Inside, Amara took 1 step forward. Then another. And the distance closed. That is not always how power announces itself. Sometimes it walks through your front door in a black and white uniform and waits quietly for you to be worth knowing. And sometimes, if you are very lucky and very honest and willing to be broken open before you can be rebuilt, it stays. And that is the full story. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel. Drop your comment below. Did you see the ending coming? Make sure that notification bell is on. We are just getting started.